So this video is actually just a simple video I decided to make after being asked to work on a computer for a friend's mom that needed some help with it, and figured it'd just be a great learning experience for everyone else if they actually pay attention to it. This computer is actually about 10 years old, but this actually shows excuse me, the effects of like when you don't do any cleaning, and basically I'll go into like what the catastrophic effects are later on. But as you can see, the way this is actually a Dell unit, but the way this one runs is it pulls air in from these vents. Obviously any vent. This is actually a USB port. If you look, real quick there, you can actually see it's just riddled with dust. Even in the modem jacks, which are no longer used anymore, every intake, because this fan and these two fans are exhaust fans, so any place that can suck air in, and it's actually got the airflow design concept too, which I'm going to go into. So this is one of the air intakes that has actually been, just over the 10 years, has been covered up. Then on the front side, which you can't see yet, but you'll be able to see here down from the bottom, it's got another air intake. So we'll actually go into the unit. It's one nice thing that was easy to get to, but for the sake of, let's call it video, we've made some things more simpler. And the inside, it actually the motherboard looks clean. The a little dusty. Everything does look clean to an extent. The heatsink for the CPU actually does have dust on it. This is a little bit of dust, and the reason why there's actually a little bit versus a lot is because every other vent that would have allowed anything to actually clog this up has already clogged up, and within that there's not enough airflow to really even pull any more dust excuse me, through anyway into it, to where it's going to already do any more damage than it already has done. The saving grace of this computer, as the reason why it's not dead yet, it is a Intel Celeron 2.4 gigahertz, 512 megs of RAM. It takes literally 10 minutes to load up YouTube, home channel, and that's not even playing a video. That's another 15 minutes. As much as it's Celeron 2.4, 512 megs of RAM, it should be able to load it faster. However, there's been a lot of software installed on it, as well as it's overheating, so it's limiting itself. So I'll go back over. So here again, this is one of the intake vent ports that are nice and clogged up, and as you can tell from the side, I mean it's pretty well nice and done up. So one thing people really need to do is vacuum out their ports when they get their computer, laptop, big computer. If they can get a Kinetic Air, spray air, just generally spray it, and most of the dust, as long as it's running, will run out. Here's another air intake that's actually hidden behind the hard drive for TV's sake, video's sake. We've already made it easy to come off, but as you can see, let's move this so it doesn't hurt anything. The air on this side of the computer, which is the front, so it goes upside down, but oh well. This is actually all clogged up as well, so it's actually not getting any airflow. And we'll take this cover off again real quick. We'll pop this off. I had it off. There we go. You can actually see that this was the main air intake on the computer, and as you can see, it is caked with dust and whatnot. So this was actually not even getting any real airflow through here, and that's why the majority of this looks actually clean. The reason why this actually looks clean is a simple reason, and that's the airflow came in through through all the intakes and was sucked through the exhaust ports right away. So there's really no airflow here anyway for dust to come through. But anywhere that a dust port line could come through. It did, and it left a nice little dust trail. So the hard drive acted as another filter slash restrictor. So with the hard drive here and this intake being covered up, and then when we open up this cover, which is for the CPU, it actually doesn't look that bad, and you can see that this actually looks very clean from the other side. Can't get to it really because of the camera, but you can actually see that the fins are, I'll zoom in with the digital. You can see that the fins are generally clean, not that bad. However, there's however on this side it's clogged up a little bit. To most people, they'd be like, well, this isn't that bad, and it's probably, doing its job. It's getting the airflow across. Well, with every other air restriction coming in here, this is actually, as clean as this is still running too hot because it's not getting any real airflow, and then it keeps getting restricted even, here. So this is just like the final filter, and that, as you can see, it's even on the fan that's exhausting out, it's got the dust in there. So this computer actually suffered from two big issues, which everyone's computer does, is they get dirty. Clean them out every few months. If you pop the cover off, get canned air, just blow everything out. So 10 years down the road, as much as we throw things away, it will still work. And with the newer stuff, it's even more prevalent, not prevalent, but more of an issue of keeping clean, just because everything's smaller. There's less airflow, different socket designs. Like this is actually a socket that's on here on a new motherboard, laptops or whatever. It would actually be soldered on place. So when this overheats, it basically pops off, and a lot of people experience that with their laptops of lines on their screens, and that's like the GPU or CPU actually having missing contacts and whatnot. So this one's actually the reason why this one actually is 10 years old, 12 years old, actually older, is the P4, not P4, it's the Intel Celeron 2.39, 2.4 gigahertz. The reason why this one actually is not dead is because it was a Celeron. It wasn't a Pentium 4, running at a hotter temperature. So the Celeron actually was its saving grace. Like, it's kind of like the Pinto versus a Corvette, as much as Pinto's crap. The Pinto's going to be, the lower end car is going to stick around longer because it doesn't have the higher performance parts that if you neglect, they completely fail out. This will allow for a little bit more, dirtiness, and it's not going to want to overheat as bad. Had this be a P4 computer, I would tell her that just not even bother reinstalling the OS and just upgrade now. What I'm going to do for is just reinstall Windows XP Professional or whichever one came on it. It's got the COA, which I've covered up because you don't need to see that. But it's going to be completely taken apart. Any of the metal will be given a bath. The motherboard will be given a bubble bath. The power supply will be taken apart, given a bubble bath, because as you can see, there's dust, and there's going to be dust on the inside as well. As you can see how dirty it is. So we're going to go ahead and clean this up completely. Just reinstall Windows XP Pro or Home or whatever it has in it, and keep it simple. So that way they can, you still use this for general internet and YouTube, without, actually have to sit in there and wait 10 minutes. But again, this is, what happens to your computer when, and this is not like an insult to anybody, but people just don't know that you have to keep the stuff clean. And it is the biggest dust collector, and dust on any of this stuff, as you can tell, it's got a pretty big heat sink, so it obviously needs to dissipate the heat. Well, when you have air restriction, I powered this thing up just for giggles last night, and felt that the temperature that was coming in, obviously it was at room temperature, versus the temperature that's coming out, it was a pretty high difference. I popped it open. I mean, everything was warm, even though it was supposedly getting airflow, but the intakes, as soon as I popped the cover open, everything started cooling down, and I actually could feel the cool down of everything. But when it was all sealed up with the clogged vents, it had no airflow, so everything was just basically cooking. So that's what this computer's saving grace was, that it's a Celeron. But I'm still going to be giving it a bath, taking both heat sinks off, reapplying new thermal bonding compound. Probably use Arctic Silver or even graphite sheet. I'm not sure. This one I'll use a graphite sheet probably on. This one, depending on if it's got the older 26 millimeter die on it, I'll probably use Arctic Silver. If it's got the same 1 centimeter actual silicone chip, I'll actually go with graphite here. So that's just going to depend on the size of the chip. I'm guessing this is going to be the old style over 1 inch size chip, so I'll probably use Arctic Silver on this one and graphite on this one. But again, the main reason on this one is just keep your computers clean. If you keep them clean, you actually get them to last longer. If you look at some of my other videos, you'll notice I do a video on a Toshiba laptop that's actually a brand new one, explaining very clearly that thermal management is already under designed on these newer machines. So keeping them clean is a very key component to longevity, as well as even having them last a few years. If this was, and this is, to be honest, for 10 years, this is actually clean, in my opinion, from the computers that I have seen. Most computers would be covered in cat hair, dog hair, a lot more dust and debris than this. This also came out of a very clean house. I'm actually very surprised. Not surprised that she keeps it clean, but it's a very well kept house. So she's actually doing better off than most others. Everyone else, if you have a computer that's this old, chances are you're in worse condition than she is. But again, nobody tells you, hey, keep it clean. And when I give it back to her, I'm gonna, tell her how to, go in and just, every so often with a can of air, blow out the intake vents and exhaust vents. But on the newer stuff, this, and you could actually, going back, and this is kind of redundant, but if this was a new computer, even a new tower or desktop, or a laptop, you could actually get it, this dirty within 6 to 8 months, depending on the environment you're in. I've seen it happen plenty of times. My laptop myself, the one that doesn't get moved around too much, probably take it apart, clean it every 6 months, and there's, I'm actually, removing a layer like this off the front of the heat sink. So about every 8 months on that, computer, it is, not overheating, but running at a hotter temperature than it needs to. On a laptop that I use for one of the work jobs, that goes, basically, everywhere, like most people's laptops. I clean that one out every month or two, and if I don't, I see a temperature difference, and I've also seen motherboards pop. So that's just a quick FYI, and keeping them clean and whatnot. Thanks, bye.